Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cozy English Corner, where learning English feels relaxed, natural, and enjoyable. I'm Mia.
And I'm Jack. We're really happy you're here with us today.
Have you ever listened to an English podcast, watched a YouTube video, or finished an English lesson and thought, wow, I understood almost everything?
Then someone asks you one simple question. What did you do today? Or how was your weekend? And suddenly, your mind goes blank.
It's such a strange feeling, isn't it? You know the words, you understand the grammar, you can follow conversations, but when it's your turn to speak, everything seems to disappear.
I used to think I knew exactly what the problem was. I told myself, I just need a tutor, or I need a speaking partner. Sometimes I even thought, maybe I need a native speaker. I was convinced that was the missing piece.
And I think a lot of English learners believe exactly the same thing.
I spent months waiting for the right teacher, waiting for the right person, waiting for the perfect opportunity to practice. But somehow, my speaking didn't really improve.
Can I ask you something? What if that isn't actually the problem?
You mean the problem isn't finding someone to talk to?
Exactly. What if becoming a confident English speaker starts long before another person joins the conversation?
Now you've got my attention.
Because that's what today's episode is all about. By the end of our conversation, you'll understand why speaking alone actually works, what you can talk about when nobody else is there, and one simple daily habit that helps build real fluency without waiting for lessons or speaking partners.
And stay with us until the end because we've prepared a little cozy challenge that takes just 3 minutes a day. You can start tomorrow, and you don't need a tutor, a speaking partner, or even a native speaker.
So grab a cup of coffee or tea, get comfortable, and let's discover why becoming fluent doesn't begin when someone asks you a question. It begins much earlier.
You know, when I think about it now, I spent a lot more time looking for people to practice with than actually practicing.
Really?
Oh, definitely. I'd search for language exchange websites, I'd think about booking lessons. Sometimes I'd even tell myself, I'll start speaking seriously next month.
When you finally find the right person.
It always felt like my progress depended on someone else.
I think that's one of the biggest myths in language learning. People believe that speaking only happens when two people are talking.
Well, doesn't it?
Communication does. But speaking is a skill, and every skill has time for private practice.
What do you mean?
Think about a musician. Do they only play their instrument during concerts?
Of course not. They spend hours practicing alone.
Exactly. Or think about an athlete. Most of their improvement doesn't happen during competitions. It happens during training.
That's true. Nobody expects a football player to play one match a week and magically become better.
Right. Or imagine an actor. Before standing on stage, they've already practiced every line many times. They've made mistakes. They've tried different ways of saying things. They've repeated the same scenes again and again.
So, the performance isn't where they learn. It's where they show what they've already learned.
Exactly. English isn't really any different. Real conversations aren't the place where fluency begins. They're the place where fluency is tested.
I like that. So, maybe I've been expecting conversations to teach me when really they're showing me what I can already do.
That's a great way to put it. If you only practice when another person is available, you're depending on opportunities you can't control. But if you know how to practice by yourself, you can improve every single day.
Even if nobody is around.
Exactly. And the wonderful thing is, your brain doesn't stop having thoughts just because you're alone. Those everyday thoughts, the ones you already have while making breakfast, walking to work, or washing the dishes, can become some of the best speaking practice you'll ever have.
So maybe I wasn't waiting for a speaking partner. Maybe I was waiting for permission to start.
And the good news is, you don't have to wait anymore.
After everything we've talked about, I still have one question. Let's say I'm alone at home. No teacher, no speaking partner, no lesson. What exactly am I supposed to say? Because after about 10 seconds, I probably run out of ideas.
I think that's exactly where most learners get stuck. And I want to tell you something that might sound a little surprising.
Go on.
I don't actually think you should practice speaking.
I'm sorry? Have we been recording the wrong episode?
Not at all. Let me explain. I don't think you should practice random English sentences. I think you should practice having real thoughts in English.
What's the difference?
A huge difference. Imagine you're making coffee. Many learners would say, "I'm making coffee." Then they'd stop. Practice finished.
That sounds exactly like me. I'd probably add, "The coffee is hot." Then I'd have absolutely nothing else to say.
Because you're trying to invent sentences, not follow your thoughts. Your mind doesn't stop after one sentence. It naturally keeps going. Maybe your first thought is, "I'm making coffee." Then you notice you're still sleepy, so you think, "I'm actually more tired than I thought." A moment later, "I should probably go to bed earlier tonight." And then, although I say that almost every evening.
That's a little too accurate.
See? Those thoughts are connected. One naturally leads to the next. That's much closer to how real conversations work.
So instead of trying to sound impressive, I should just sound real.
Exactly. I like to think of it as 3 simple steps. First, think. Notice what's happening around you. Then, react. Say what you honestly think or feel about it. And finally, continue. Let one idea lead to another instead of stopping after the first sentence.
Think, react, continue. That actually feels much less stressful. I'm not searching for perfect English. I'm simply following my own thoughts.
That's the idea. When you have a conversation with another person, you don't know your next sentence in advance. One thought creates another, then another, and another. You're simply practicing that same habit before anyone else joins the conversation.
So maybe speaking practice isn't about creating perfect English. Maybe it's about creating a natural flow of ideas.
Because conversations don't begin with perfect sentences. They begin with simple thoughts. And the more comfortable you become thinking in English, the more naturally those thoughts will turn into conversations.
You know, I think I've already found one problem with this idea.
What's that?
What if I forget a word? Because that happens to me all the time. I'll be talking, everything is going well, and then one simple word disappears. My brain just says, "Sorry, not today."
Mine does that sometimes too. Everyone forgets words sometimes. The difference is, most native speakers don't stop communicating.
I definitely do. If I can't remember one word, the whole conversation stops.
Let's try something. Imagine you can't remember the word zipper. What would you do?
I'd probably panic for a second, then I'd stay quiet.
Instead, keep talking. You could say, "It's the thing on my jacket that opens and closes it."
That actually makes sense. You don't need the exact word.
Exactly. Or imagine you forget the word kettle. You could say, "It's the thing I use to boil water for tea."
Okay, that's easier than I expected.
One more. What if you forget spatula?
Maybe it's the thing you use when you're cooking to turn food over in a pan.
Perfect. Was it the shortest explanation? Maybe not. But did I understand you? Absolutely.
So the goal isn't finding the perfect word. The goal is helping the other person understand.
Exactly. Communication is much more flexible than people think. There are always different ways to express the same idea.
I never looked at it like that. I treated every forgotten word like a disaster. But maybe it's just another chance to explain something differently.
That's a wonderful way to think about it. And something interesting happens when you stop worrying about the perfect word. You stop freezing. Your conversation keeps moving. your confidence grows.
Because you're proving to yourself, I can keep going.
And that's one of the biggest moments in becoming more fluent. Not the moment you learn thousands of new words, but the moment you realize you don't need every word to communicate.
I think that's something every English learner needs to hear.
Fluency isn't knowing every word. It's knowing what to do when you don't. And once you stop being afraid of those little moments, speaking English starts to feel much more natural.
You know, for a long time, I believed speaking practice meant saying lots of different sentences.
And now?
Now I'm starting to think, maybe I don't need more sentences. Maybe I just need to stay with one idea a little longer.
Exactly. Let's try a simple example. Imagine your first thought is, I'm tired. That's a perfectly natural sentence. But don't stop there. Ask yourself, why?
Okay. I'm tired today.
Good. Now keep going.
I'm tired because I didn't sleep very well.
Perfect. One more thought.
I didn't sleep well because it was really hot last night.
And then,
Maybe I'll go to bed a little earlier tonight.
see what happened? You didn't memorize 4 different sentences. You simply followed one idea wherever it wanted to go.
It actually feels much more natural. Each sentence gives me the next one. I'm not starting over every time.
Exactly. And that's what fluent speakers do without thinking about it. They don't usually stop after one sentence. They explain, they add details, they give reasons, they tell short stories. One idea grows into another.
So maybe the real habit isn't speaking more. It's continuing a little longer.
I love that, because one sentence might help you learn a new word, but expanding that sentence teaches you how conversations naturally develop.
That also changes the way I think about listening. When I watch an English podcast, I usually repeat what the speaker says.
Repeating is useful, but after you repeat, try doing something else. Transform it.
What do you mean?
Let's say someone says, I love rainy days. You don't have to copy that sentence exactly. You could say, actually, I prefer sunny weather. Or, I like rainy days when I'm at home. Or even, I used to dislike rain, but now I enjoy it.
So I'm turning listening into speaking practice.
Exactly. Change the details. Agree. Disagree. Add something from your own life. That way, you're not just collecting English, you're using it.
I really like that idea. Because suddenly, every podcast, every YouTube video, every conversation I listen to becomes another chance to practice speaking.
And the best part is, you don't have to wait for someone to ask you a question. You can create the conversation yourself.
So, we've talked about why waiting for conversations doesn't really help. We've talked about following your thoughts, keeping your ideas moving, and not stopping when you forget a word. Now, there's only one thing left: actually trying it.
And don't worry, this isn't homework. You don't need a notebook, you don't need perfect grammar, and you definitely don't need to make a speech.
Tomorrow, choose one ordinary moment. Maybe while you're making breakfast, walking to work, driving, washing the dishes, or making a cup of coffee. For just 3 minutes, become your own speaking partner. Remember our little framework. First, think. Notice what's happening around you. Then, react. Say what you honestly think. And finally, continue. Let one thought naturally lead to the next.
If you make a mistake, keep going. If you forget a word, describe it. If your grammar isn't perfect, keep talking. The goal isn't perfect English. The goal is keeping the conversation alive.
You know, looking back, my first English conversations with myself weren't exactly fascinating. They were mostly about coffee, trying to remember where I left my keys, and wondering why I always had so many unmatched socks.
Honestly, those are excellent conversation topics. They're real, and that's exactly why they work.
I used to believe I needed another person before I could become a better speaker. Now I think I was waiting for something I already had: a voice and thoughts worth expressing.
That's a beautiful way to say it. One day, you'll have wonderful conversations in English. You'll tell stories, share ideas, make jokes, ask questions, maybe even forget that you're speaking a language you once found difficult. But those conversations don't begin when another person says, hello. They begin much earlier, in quiet moments, when you're simply talking to yourself.
If you decide to try today's cozy challenge, we'd love to hear how it goes. Leave us a comment and tell us what you talked about. Maybe it was your morning coffee, your walk, or those mysterious missing socks.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who's learning English too. Until next time, keep learning, keep speaking, and stay cozy.
Bye, everyone.